Hello and welcome to the University of Law. In today's video, I'm reviewing this Doctor Who Faithful Friends, which actually is volume 5 of Classic Doctors, New Monsters. I believe that's what it's called. I've forgotten now. But it's not written anywhere in here, is it? Oh, here we go. Classic Doctors, New Monsters on the back. Was this a set that got announced a while ago and got moved? I don't think it was. I think that was the fourth set, wasn't it? It's great to see these back. I love these sets. I thought they were a great novel idea at the start, and I'm so glad that they've kind of been back. And what a great selection of monsters. How am I going to review this? Let's have a think. So if I open the set up, let's have a look. So I'm going to talk about that one last. There are the cast and crew. There's a great selection of doctors. I'm going to go and review the second episode first, The Dying Breed. I'm going to talk about the fact that when I first went to Doctor Who, 2005, I very quickly started buying the DVDs. I got for Christmas that year the Legend Continues book, the updated one for the Ninth Doctor series, and straight away I was delving into the classic series. And I wasn't massively keen on the Sixth Doctor or the Seventh Doctor. Big Finish changed that big time. There were two Doctors who I wasn't keen on from the TV version, and I loved at Big Finish. There were times during the Stephen Moffat era where I wasn't always keen on some of the stories, some of the characters, but Big Finish had taken a lot of those and run with them. To be honest, in this set, I did enjoy the Monks story on TV. But nevertheless, there have been times where Big Finish has really lifted those, and I look forward to the day when Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi do Big Finish, because I really want to see what Big Finish do with those Doctors as well. It's not that I disliked any of the era. I love all of Doctor Who, but there were perhaps eras I was never as engaged in the Sixth or Seventh Doctor based on the television stories, and I was never as engaged, particularly with the 12th Doctor, based on the TV episodes. I loved his final series 10, but I wasn't always really won over. The same applies for me with the Chris Chibnall era. It didn't always work for me, and again with all of this, I don't dislike Doctor Who. Any of Doctor Who, all Doctor Who is wonderful to me. And obviously, people have got their favourites. There's people who are going to say, well, I love Paul McGann and the War Doctor. People might say, well, I can't stand them. I prefer the 13th Doctor and the 7th Doctor, which is great. And I think it's great that we celebrate it. I'm just saying, from a personal perspective, I always found that the Chibnall stuff didn't quite work for me. But I love the fact that Big Finish can then take those characters on. And Chris Chibnall says himself in the Vortex magazine that these characters get to live beyond you with Big Finish. And what I love as well is the fact that Chris Chibnall has been involved. They've spoken with him, and everything that we're experiencing here is from his world. This is all these characters, all these ideas, that they're from his mind. And I'm loving the fact that we're now getting to see that. And I think sometimes it's not actually the fault of the people involved in the production. It's just making a TV program can be very difficult with budgets, and especially if you're making it during COVID. Obviously, in the late 80s, there was a lot of disruption to the program. So you can see how budgetary influences and other world influences can have an impact on a production, which you maybe don't get a few years later with Big Finish. And maybe you then get the potential of these things to shine a bit more. And for me, that was definitely the case here with the Lupari. I felt really invested in the Lupari through the Fourth Doctor. Mary Margulies gives a great performance. And it was a great origin story, and I felt I got to know the Lupari a little bit more, where perhaps I was aware of them from Flux, and I kind of was aware of the fact that every kind of person had a Lupari, and it felt more like a joke to me, like obviously Man's Best Friend is his dog and that kind of thing, but it really dug into that, and it felt like a real world building. And again, this would have all come from discussions with Chris Chibnall, but obviously then run with by Tim Foley in his own right as a writer. So I really love that story. I look forward to seeing what they do with the 13th Doctor in a few months' time. I'm looking forward to that. Then we've got this, the final story, 500 Ways to Leave Your Lover, a really great story. Not the kind of story you usually see the 8th Doctor in. It was great to see the 8th Doctor a little bit more carefree. He was in like his Dark Eyes costume, when usually post to the death, things were getting darker, we're getting towards the Time War, but it was nice to have this story where it was a little more light-hearted, though there were some very sinister elements behind it. It had some really kind of clever Moffat style, what's the one I'm trying to look? It's a situation within a situation. It's a computer. It's a simulation within a simulation. That's it. and there's quite a lot of clever paradoxes around that, and then a great twist at the end as well. But it worked to the Monk's strengths really well. It had a great guest cast and great chemistry with all the characters involved. And I've forgotten his name now, but I remember him from CBBC in my youth, and he was in the Sideman Story in series 2. He's in this anyway, but it was a great performance. Great to hear him back again doing some Doctor Who. Now, the ones I want to talk about, the highlight for me is I've wanted them to do Krillitane for absolutely ages, because I love the Krillitane. And first of all, yes, we do get the reference to them having very long necks and looking just like us, so we do get that experienced in here. And it also opens the door to more Krillitane adventures. Now, this story, I can't review this without spoilers, so I'm leaving it till last as a spoiler alert. This is an excellent Second Doctor story, first of all. The fact that we've got Michael Troughton in now means we're able to do stuff with the Second Doctor that we finish. They always did great stuff with the early adventures. I love stuff, especially like the ISOS network. But now we've got an actor primarily playing the Second Doctor. They can do stuff with this character that they couldn't do before, and then by extension stuff with Jamie and Zoe. This is a great story that really keeps you guessing, and I'm going to tell you now, you're led to believe, and it's so cleverly done, because when you listen to it back, it's so cleverly done that it does work beautifully. You're led to believe this is the Second Doctor, Zoe and Jamie, going into a base, but it's not. It's the Krillitane enroll as them infiltrating the base, but they don't know an awful lot about these characters. So many twists and turns. There's so many times where you think you know what's going to happen and you get it completely wrong. And I love that. I love that twist. But what I loved even more was how it pays off, because then we get this story, the Krillitane relic, which is set during the Seventh Doctor's era, and he bumps into yet again Zoe, and he thinks, well, she won't remember me, etc. But of course, it's not. It's the Krillitane Zoe, and of course, he wasn't aware what had happened. He assumed that she had that Krillitane had died, but also, how is he supposed to remember every little adventure that he's had lifetimes ago? So I love that 2-part story. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. But were they both John Dorney? No, one was. Oh no, yeah, sorry, they were. Yeah, it was episode 1 and episode 3. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. And of course, we also get our first glimpse of the Seventh Doctor's adventures with Ray, which we're going to see the origins of those in the upcoming Seventh Doctor set coming out very, very soon. But yeah, I love this set, and please long may they continue, and please may we see more Krillitane looking in different ways, and may we see them with other Doctors, because I love the Krillitane. I think they just leapt off the screen, I should say, in that series 2 episode School Reunion. I think it's such an amazing episode. I think sometimes with Doctor Who, you kind of get a story where they'll bring an old companion back or an old character back, and that kind of overshadows everything else, and the story plays second fiddle to the big thing that's happening, that someone's returning. School Reunion was that perfect episode in which it was just, if you took Sarah Jane out of it, it's a great episode full stop. You put Sarah Jane in and K9 and it's even better. But the fact is, it's a great story on the Krillitane. Everything stands up on its own, and it's why that episode is faultless. It's not a fan service episode. It is just an excellent episode of Doctor Who, which happens to reintroduce Sarah Jane and K9. And the Krillitane stand up so well. I think for my generation, having the action figures and playing, I think I had 2 different shades of Krillitane so you could play with them. I love those, and let's see more of them. But what do you think? Do let me know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I look forward to speaking to you soon.